Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. This is episode 338, as well as day 338 of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to run 365 days in a row, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenged myself to run 1,500 miles and to run two big races within this yearly time frame. Those races being a 50K ultramarathon trail race, the Yankee Springs 50K trail race, out in Middleville, Michigan on June 5th, 2021. That was day 156 of my journey, and I was able to run that race within 7 hours, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds. The next race I came up with in this yearly time frame was the Detroit Free Press Marathon. That was on day 290 of my journey. I ran that race within 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 28 seconds. Both of those races were personal records for me, and was able to not only run those races but keep the run streak alive after running the 31-mile race as well as the 26.2-mile race. Being able to get out there the following days was almost a bigger feat than actually running those races. But here we are now on day 338, so let's break down the mileage for the day, week, month, and the year. So for the day today, day 338, got out there and put in 3.1 miles, trying to take it a little bit easier on my body. I'm having a issue with my left foot for the week. That put me at 31.9 miles. That put me at 17.7 miles for the month, which put me at 1,593.1 miles for the year. We're going to quickly focus in on these monthly miles of 17.7, but right before we quickly do, we're going to talk about the yearly miles and just acknowledge that we have surpassed the 1,500 mile yearly goal. So now all we have left for the challenges that I've challenged myself this year is just the 365 days this year. Ran both the big races, have surpassed the 1,500 mile mark for the year. Was shooting for 1750, but with the foot injury looking more like I'm going to kind of cut back on the miles and not end right around there. Probably going to see where I go, maybe closer to 1,700, maybe a little bit shorter than that. But overall, still pumping out a decent amount for the year. But now going again back into the monthly miles of 17.7, every single month I challenge myself to run a 100-mile challenge, and I do that in honor of a charity in which I donate money to, as well as start a coinciding fundraiser to try to raise money and awareness for throughout that month. For the first 11 months, was able to raise money for 11 great charities. Now we're here within the 12th month, the month of December, and we're raising money for yet another great charity. December's 100-mile challenge is in honor of St. Jude's Children's Hospital. You can find the link to donate to this month's 100-mile challenge on the Defining Discipline Instagram story or the Defining Discipline Facebook story, or my personal page's Instagram story, or my personal page's Facebook story. Within those stories, all you do is you click on the link, which will open up the actual Facebook page where your donations can be made. And also from that page, you're able to click on the share button and help raise awareness for this cause. Keep in mind, all donations that do get made to this cause go directly to this cause. Facebook does not take any portion or percentage of your donations. It all goes directly to the cause. So now with that in mind and getting that out of the way, we can get ready to get into today's actual episode. But as always, right before we get into today's episode, we have to go over today's word of the day, which is interloper. An interloper is a person or a thing that intrudes a place or sphere of activity. So that is today's word of the day for December 4th, interloper. Please don't mind the crying baby in the background if you can hear her. Now let's get into today's actual episode 338. Um, Today's episode is going to be recover. And for the exact reason I kind of brought up earlier, I am kind of dealing with a left foot injury, and I want to, you know, not really define it so much as an injury because there's no real pain so much to say. I mean, there are maybe slight pain, slight irritation, but it just there's something off. It doesn't feel right. My tendon is not gliding right. It just putting pressure, touching it a little bit, it makes it feel really off and really weird. So trying to really step back the mileage. I think it's just really inflamed from overactivity. I did have someone kind of touch it, feel it, look at it, who is a professional, and they did, tell me everything was good, nothing was out of place as of right now, and they also just think it is kind of inflamed, and to kind of just step back a little bit on the mileage. So, this week I really want to focus on recovery and trying to really, like I said, step back a notch and be able to really focus in on getting my body back to tip top shape. Maybe start being able to get back into a little bit more speed work. Now that I have pushed the barrier here in November, and doing 200 and 15.9 miles, basically 216, putting in that many miles that month, I was able to see, how far I was able to kind of really push it. Probably could have done a little bit more. Kept it at 215. Um, so now I can maybe step it back a little bit and start again, as I'm starting to recover and get this recovery phase in. After, if I'm starting to feel good again, um, step up the mileage a little bit again, but not so much, and kind of really start working in on some speed work here, and maybe look forward to a few races here at the beginning of the next year. And probably all different, distances. Looking at a couple 5Ks I know I for sure want to do, and then I would like to do a few marathons throughout this year, as well as the 50 miler in 2022 is the year I'm talking about. But in order to do that, I truly need to recover. So I have this issue, like I said, that has popped up over the past few days, and instead of really pushing it here towards the end of the year to hit that 1750 mark, I decided to really focus on recovering, to look forward to next year. I don't want to take myself out. I don't want to just hit the 365-day mark and hit a good mileage mark, and then, come to find out my foot's toast, or, screw something up indefinitely, by pushing myself too hard to get there. So I kind of really want to focus in on recovery and taking it back a notch to let my foot start to kind of, I guess, uh, you know, kind of just um, calm down, not be so inflamed or swollen. Um, so really wanted to focus on recovery this week, and another thing to focus in on recovery is diet. That's something I've talked about a few episodes here and there, but one main thing that I've been focusing on these past few weeks, especially when this kind of started to pop up a little bit last week, felt a little bit of different issues here and there, nothing too crazy, wasn't as bad as it is now. Like I said, and it's not so bad where I'm in pain, but it just doesn't feel right. It feels off, really off. So, um, feeling it back then, I kind of really wanted to focus in on my recovery in general, and what I'm drinking within my recovery shakes. Been trying to make sure I've been drinking enough recovery, enough protein. One thing I do focus in on is trying to get some good clean protein, but I do take a protein powder that is 3 different types of sources of protein. It's a mixture of whey, casein, and egg. And the reason I do that is they actually all kind of break down at a different time rate, a different time frame. So the whey will break down really quickly, so it'll hit your muscles the quickest after the workout to recover. The casein will break down at more of a medium pace, so a little bit later into the after a little bit more later after the workout, the casein will actually start to hit that recovery process, and then egg hits the latest. And what egg does is, like I said, it starts the recovery process the latest within all three of those. It's kind of like a time released protein powder mix, is the way I look at it. Any kind of time release medicine you've taken, maybe Tylenol or anything like that, where it works spontaneously throughout the day. That's kind of how the whey, casein, and egg work together in unison. They all break down at a different rate. Egg being the longest, casein being in the middle, and whey being the fastest breaking down kind of protein. So I put that in my shake for sure. I put collagen in my shake to really focus in on repairing the joints, which working on the tendon right now. Use beetroot powder to really help oxidize my blood. Um, use Been using a product called Juven, which is also for repairing injuries. It's something they kind of use in the hospital, but it's a lot of you know amino acids, as like glutamine, pretty sure is in it, and some other kind of healing properties that I've been using. I've been using the fruit punch version. Been mixing that in there. Been putting some turmeric powder in there. Been putting some ginger powder in there. Been doing bananas, strawberries, blueberries frozen. So that's kind of my shake. Almond milk. That's almond cashew milk. It's a mixture actually that has a pretty high protein content in it as well. So I've been trying to really load up on a high protein recovery drink. Still have enough carbs in there as well to replenish the energy that was burned off. But trying to really take care of the muscles and the joints by getting in a good recovery shake. And that's something I've been doing throughout the year. But again, this past few weeks, and when issues kind of like this come up, I kind of really double down on making sure I get my recovery shake in, and then even trying to do one just in the morning to start the day. If I run in the morning, obviously I do it after my run, but I usually run at night, have been running at night, so in the morning for breakfast I'll have my recovery shake, and then still go for my run later on at night, and then still have another recovery shake before I go to bed, but mostly right after I run, which is still kind of right before I go to bed when throughout the week. So that's kind of how I've been focusing on recovering. I really need to, now that I'm kind of taking a little bit more time off of actually being out there and running, focus in more on stretching, trying to maybe focus in on yoga, maybe focus a little bit on some upper body work, and just in general focus on some things that need to be done here around the house, and just some more time spending with the family. So that is kind of the goal of the recover process here for the next week at least, and maybe kind of pushing towards just the rest of the year, kind of just taking it a little bit easier than normal, still pumping out the 100 miles for the 100-mile challenge, maybe even 125, somewhere in there, but maybe not going as hard or as crazy as I had initially planned. So your daily discipline for the day today, day 338, it is first to know when you need to recover, and to also have a recovery method, a recovery plan. I told you mine is kind of to just take it easy, to lower the miles, and as well to make sure I get in my good recovery shakes, and to try to stretch. Figure out whatever your recovery plan may be, and to know and to listen to your body when it is a proper and good time to go with that recovery plan. So that is your daily discipline for the day today. Other than that, I want to thank you so much for listening to the Defining Discipline podcast, episode 338, Recover. I'm your host, Scott. If you guys can, please give this podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, a share on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and whatever podcast streaming platform you've been following along and listening on. Other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 339. Stay disciplined and peace out.